Okay.
You just have to tell them when you're ready.
Good evening. Welcome to, what is today's date?
25th.
6th.
6th.
March 26th meeting of the Foxborough Planning Board. This meeting will be broadcast live and recorded by Foxboro Cable Access. There may be people who call in on Zoom possibly, who will be able to give opinions, ask questions, etc. And with that, we'll get started.
All right, good evening. This is a pretty light report today because most of the items that I've been talking about recently are going to be addressed in public hearings tonight. On the grant front, we are awaiting some announcements from Mass Trails, MGC, the Gaming Commission. We did complete the project substantially. We have one closeout meeting on the Mass Housing Technical Assistance Project, where they are assisting us in coming up with like a manner of tracking the units within Foxborough that fall to us to administer. So we're trying to get more organized. And we've been working with a wonderful consultant who knows everything that we've thrown at her so far. And what she did is she went through the Chestnut Green area just as a template and a model for us to follow. And that piece is substantially complete. We just need to get one more document out of the property owner, and that's it. And then we'll wrap that one up, and we'll be a little bit better prepared to take on the task elsewhere in town. I did receive this week the state contract completely signed for a small business sign and facade program. We will begin procurement on that next week. I just need to meet with our finance team to make sure that they give me the okay to proceed. And then we'll publish some grant guidelines for the businesses in town that might want to take us up on funding. Finally, with the community planning grant, the deadline for that's going to be in June. So I'll be seeking funds to assist in the review of the R15 district as was requested. So that's something where I need a little bit more support to go through that. Obviously, we did get World Cup plans revised for the site plans. They'll be coming to speak with you all at the next meeting. But if you want to look at those in advance, please feel free to stop upstairs in our office. And again, because of the sensitive nature of this being a secured perimeter, these are executive session type discussions. And finally, just the roadmap ahead. Again, we're going to be looking hard at the special residential and the age-restricted housing items this summer to see what can be done with accommodating seniors in our community. Our solar and battery energy storage guidelines have substantially been written. We're just awaiting the state's solidified guidelines, so that one we'll need to wait till the next town meeting, be it special town meeting or next annual. And that's it for the planner's report.
Okay. So it being just about 7:05 p.m., we have a public hearing warrant article. Or what any meeting we need to deal with before that?
Minutes?
Yeah, we'll do. Yes.
Minutes, I said about the minutes.
March 12th minutes.
Yeah. I'd make a motion we approve the minutes for March 12th, 2026 as submitted.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, public hearing warrant article, Foxborough zoning bylaw amend various provisions of the code, including tables in sections 4.1.1, 9.66, 9.76, and 9.83, to replace the word yards with minimum yard setbacks. Section 3.16, table 3.1, use groups L.3 and L4 and L5 to make changes in certain zoning districts that are consistent with other zoning districts in such groups and sections. 11.1, to add definitions for single-family dwelling, front yard, rear yard, and side yard. Good morning, Barney.
Good evening. For the record, Barnett Overett, Chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and this is my, I think I said last night, one annual and every once in a while, twice a year visit to the, in this case, the planning board last night, it was the AdCom, relative to this and a couple of the other articles that will be considered tonight. Essentially, what this article will do is make some changes to the zoning bylaw that I think are appropriate, to add some definitions to the zoning bylaw that are appropriate. And items 1, 2, and 3 relate to the definitions in item 8 of front yard, rear yard, and side yard. A couple years ago, when I was drafting the bylaw revisions for accessory dwelling units, there was a provision in there that says no accessory dwelling unit can be in a front yard. And town council said to me, well, do you want to define front yard? And I said, look, I've been on the zoning board for about 30 years. We've never had any questions as to what's a front yard, never had any questions as to what's a rear or side yard. I don't think that's necessary. Everybody knows what a front, rear, and side yard is. However, I did get to thinking that maybe it would be appropriate to have definitions, looked at what other towns do. Most towns do define those terms. Spoke with Scott Shippey, the building commissioner, who said he loves definitions. Spoke with Catherine and Gabby about it, and we decided to come up with definitions. However, in reviewing what I was proposing a year ago, I sat down with another attorney, who happens to be the town moderator, and showed him what I was planning, and he said, well, I got a problem with that because I don't define yards in the same manner you do. And when I thought about it, the reason was because in the dimensional tables, we use the word yards. And I think that would allow somebody to read a yard of only being what the setback is. So as a consequence, in order to address that issue, I'm proposing to change the word yards, whatever appears in any of the dimensional tables, to minimum yard setbacks, which is really what we're doing in those tables. Items 4, 5, and 6 deal with residential accessory uses and structures and residential garages. And really what I'm planning here is to treat in the general industrial, limited industrial, S1, and highway business districts, treat those issues the same as they would be in the other districts within the town. The reason being, although I don't think there are many houses in those commercial districts, there are some. And anybody who's living there who desires to construct a garage, a detached garage, should be treated the same as somebody who lives in the R15 or the R40. So therefore, the reason for those changes. Item 7 is to give a definition for quote-unquote single-family dwelling. We have definitions in the bylaw for multifamily dwelling. We have definitions for two-family dwelling. For whatever reason, we don't have for single-family dwelling. This would probably be the simplest definition in the entire zoning bylaw.
Agreed.
Item number 9 is just to put the definitions of gross floor area and net floor area under the category area. So it's really just moving the existing definitions to a single place. And what I would propose, and I spoke with you, Mr. Chairman, yesterday about this, I have one other item to add to the list. And let me just read how it would read, and then I can explain the basis for this. And that would be to amend Note 9 of Section 3.1.7, Notes to Table of Use Regulations, by deleting the second sentence of such note. Now, again, a couple of years ago, when the state legislature passed the statute relative to accessory dwelling units, that legislation states that one ADU is allowed by right on a lot, and additional accessory dwelling units will be allowed by special permit. So I read that as meaning additional units are required in a bylaw as well as the one that's allowed by right. So as a consequence, I wrote, and town meeting passed the bylaw provisions that provided that one accessory dwelling unit is allowed by right and additional ones are allowed by special permit. And I put that wording in two places in the bylaw. One was in Section 8.1.1, and the second was in Note 9, in Section 3.1.7. And what Note 9 reads is only one accessory dwelling unit is allowed by right on any lot. Additional accessory dwelling units may be allowed on the lot only by means of the issuance of a special permit by the planning board in accordance with the provisions of Section 10.4 of these bylaws. After town meeting, after we enacted those provisions, the Housing and Livable Communities came down with regulations relative to the ADUs. And they made clear in those regulations that additional accessory dwelling units were not required. It was voluntary with a municipality. So as a consequence, when we made changes last year to comply with the regulations, we deleted the provision in Section 8.1.1, but I overlooked the fact that we needed to delete the provision in Note 9.
Yeah.
So what I'm proposing here is to delete that second sentence, so we would be comparable to what's in 8.1.1. Now, I have to admit that I stumbled across this on Monday. Mr. Bresci contacted me with a question on something that had absolutely nothing to do with accessory dwelling units. But when I was looking for the specific provision in the bylaw that I wanted to bring to his attention in responding to his email,
You came across.
I found this. So this would be, from my perspective, the Bresci amendment, and I appreciate the fact that he brought it to my attention inadvertently. So again, what I would like to do is to amend, this article to include the following. Amend Note 9 of Section 3.1.7, notes the table of use regulations, by deleting the second sentence of such note.
Barney, to your knowledge, has applications for ADUs been tested here or anything, or you're just cleaning up language?
Not to my knowledge. Catherine, you haven't seen anything?
Nothing that involves anything that we're talking about tonight. There have been 3 that have COs so far. I think about a dozen that have been permitted so far.
Oh, really?
Okay. You need a vote on that?
That's it for me,
Hearing.
for now.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Oh,
Yep,
we need
so
to
moved.
take comments.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. Please, if you have a comment or question, feel free. Anybody? No? Hearing none. Then I'll entertain a motion.
And I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It being, well, almost 7:15 PM.
I got 7:10.
Oh, we're gonna,
You got 7:10?
do you want to do one?
Oh, I'm sorry, public hearing for warrant article, Foxborough zoning bylaw, amend section 9.2, design review overlay district by replacing certain language in section 9.21, describing the purpose of the district, 9.22, clarifying the definition of the district, and 9.2.4, by deleting and replacing the new language on applicability, and section 10.5.4, which clarifies applicability during the site plan review process.
Sure. So this is an item that comes out of real lived experience with the Design Review Board, for those who are not familiar. This is a body that has oversight into the design, the aesthetic of any non-residential or multifamily project that is under development within the Foxborough common area roughly, though it's a fairly large footprint. There was confusion over 2 different elements, the first of which is where duplexes or 2-family residences fit into this. And there was discussion back and forth between members of the board, the building commissioner, and we ultimately asked town council for an opinion on whether multifamily would encompass duplexes or not. The town council sided with the building commissioner in saying that the building code defines them separately as 3+ units. Therefore, if you want to have this board look at two-family homes as well, you really need to modify. So that's the first change. And the second change is when it comes to enforceability. Some of the projects that come through that body, they need a special permit or a site plan anyway, but other projects might not. But they still materially affect the character of the neighborhood to the extent that the building commissioner would recommend them to this body. When a project comes in that way, there's really no defined enforcement mechanism because there's no signed official paper. There's a memorandum from the design review board, but within the bylaw code, it is clearly listed as like a recommendation to another board, and there was seemingly a hole when it came to the enforcement. The building commissioner felt wary about touching projects when they didn't go through another body because he really didn't have a lot that he could point to as basis for the enforcement. So again, sought the town council's feedback on that, and again, the conservative approach would be to side with the building commissioner and say, there is no enforceability. So the second thing that this revision would do is to provide an abbreviated site plan review process where the project would come before you all. You would look at what was being proposed, what the recommendations were coming from the design review board, sign off on them, and then the building commissioner would have something to hold up and say, look, this is signed, sealed, delivered, and you have to do this. The rest of the processes would be followed under the design review overlay district language as it already relates to projects that come before the planning board. There's already language that addresses that, so the same language would apply. It's just adding that extra site plan review step for those projects that kind of fall in the hole.
So just to clarify, would every application in district be subject to that provision of having a preliminary hearing before the board public hearing before the board?
Or just duplexes?
It's a typical site plan review process, so it would involve what's already required to that extent. We are hoping to abbreviate it, so that's something that we're still working on the mechanics in the background of that, because the way that we write our site plan review process, it addresses things that are a little bit grander in scope than some of the projects that
Correct.
involve the design review board.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any questions or comments from the audience? Hearing none, I'll entertain an approval of that change.
No, close the public hearing.
Pardon me. Close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Motion to close public hearing?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Well, you didn't do that on the first one,
Yeah.
so do you want to wait and do them
Why
all
don't
at
we
the end?
do 'em
Yeah, I'll
all
do them all.
together?
Okay, that's fine. It being sometime past 7:15, public hearing warrant article, Foxborough zoning bylaw amendment, amended section 9.0, special district regulations by adding a new section 9.9 to establish the Neponset Avenue overlay district.
Good evening again. Barnett Overett, Chairman of the Board of Appeals, and also a member of the working group that has been involved with preparation of this warrant article. The proposed bylaw that's in front of you results from a meeting that was held this past summer with a representative of Schneider. That meeting included Paige Duncan, the town manager, Bill Yukna, Bill Buckley, Kevin was there, and I was there. And what resulted from that was first to establish a working group to develop a zoning bylaw that would address how the Schneider property on Neponset Avenue could be developed. Kevin is the chair of that working group. The other members are Marco Arismendi, Bob Bodie, Bill Buckley, Paul Hainsworth, Jeff Peterson, Amy Vandell, Bill Yukna, and me. All of us are Foxborough residents. There have been no outside consultants involved with this project. Several of us are actively involved with land use, planning, and zoning issues, and we've had the invaluable assistance and involvement of Catherine and Gabby in the process. The zoning bylaw that we have developed is definitely and exclusively a homegrown plan. Our objective was and is to establish a zoning overlay district for Neponset Avenue that complies with the zoning bylaws' purpose of promoting the general welfare of the town, protecting the health and safety of town residents, specifically, but not exclusively, including those who reside in the area, encouraging the appropriate use of the land that is at issue, and increasing town amenities. In this respect, we not only considered what is best for Foxborough, but what we, as Foxborough residents, would find acceptable and desirable if we reside on or in proximity to Neponset Avenue. Let me summarize what the overlay district bylaw provides. First of all, the overlay district is divided into 5 distinct parcels, with the uses that are permitted in each parcel specified. Parcel A, which you can see on the, hopefully you can see on the board, on the screen, consists of slightly less than 6 acres in area. It will be restricted to a maximum of 27 single-family dwellings on a single common lot. Each dwelling cannot exceed 2,000 square feet of gross floor area. Detached garages or other accessory structures are not permitted within this parcel. Parcel B consists of slightly more than 15 acres in area. It's restricted to a maximum of 26 single-family dwellings on individual lots that are at least 8,000 square feet in area. Each dwelling, again, cannot exceed 2,000 square feet of gross floor area. Parcel C is similar to Parcel A. It consists of slightly more than 8 acres in area. It's restricted to a maximum of 28 single-family dwellings on a single common lot. Each dwelling cannot exceed 2,000 square feet of gross floor area. And again, detached garages or accessory structures are not permitted. Parcel D consists of slightly more than 18 acres in area. It's the location of the old Foxboro Company building and the concrete slab that heads towards Chestnut Street. The building is intended to have non-residential uses on its ground floor. The uses that are set forth in section 9.9.7.1 of the proposed bylaw indicates which uses would be permitted on that ground floor, and not more than 92 multifamily dwelling units. Those units can be apartments and/or condominium units, and they would be on the upper floors of that building. This is the only building within the overlay district in which multifamily units would be permitted. Concrete slab can be developed for non-residential uses, recreational uses, single-family dwellings on individual lots of at least 15,000 square feet in area, with a number of multifamily dwelling units that are within the Foxboro Company building to be reduced by each single-family dwelling that may be constructed. This area cannot include any of the uses that are set forth in section 9.9.8 of the proposed bylaw. Parcel E consists of approximately 10.2 acres, and it will be dedicated to open space. The headline in this week's Foxborough Reporter read, "Housing Plan Stirs Anger." Let me be perfectly clear, this is not a housing plan. It does provide for possibly 81 single-family homes and possibly 92 multifamily dwelling units. That remains to be seen. However, what it is a cohesive, comprehensive zoning proposal allowing a mixture of residential, commercial, and recreational uses, including smaller and more affordable single-family dwellings that would be suitable to seniors wishing to downsize and perhaps first-time home buyers, a mixed-use development in the existing building, and ideally commercial development within the extensive area of the concrete slab. Will Rogers once stated, and I quote, "buy land. They ain't making any more of that stuff." The Schneider property on the Ponset Avenue eventually will be purchased. The issue that ultimately will be decided at town meeting is whether there will be an opportunity for it to be purchased by a party seeking to develop the property in a manner that is consistent with the proposed override district, or whether it will be purchased by a party or parties that will seek to develop the property in accordance with the uses allowed under its current zoning, including gas stations, multi-vehicle repair shops, warehouses, self-storage facilities, manufacturing facilities, and various other uses that would not be in character with this area of town. The working group believes that the proposed override district provides a more viable option for the town and for its residents.
Questions for the moment?
Not at this time.
So, just so everybody in the audience understands how the process will work, now that, the board has not any more questions for Mr. Overt at the moment, we'll open it up to public questions and commentary. If you do want to speak, you need to come to the microphone, and you just need to state your name and address for the record. So, anyone here who would like to comment or have a question answered? No one? Feel free. Sorry, I didn't see your hand.
I was letting other people go first. My name's Danielle Ballou, and I live at Fort Pond Ave. I guess I just had a question for the first two parcels. What are the size lots of those?
You said the first two, A and C?
Yeah.
It would be a single common lot, so there wouldn't be individual lots. If you can think of a condominium association that's on a single lot,
Familiar with
that
that,
would be
but
similar to
I
it.
guess, they're single-family dwellings, correct?
Correct.
So how, I guess I'm just trying to understand, like, how, how many, I mean, I know that the other ones are 8,000 square feet, I believe. Would it be comparable to that as far as how far they're dispersed?
No, in parcel B, the homes there are intended to be on individual lots. So the
Right.
planning board would subdivide that parcel, and each home would be on an individual lot.
Right.
And again, a maximum of homes that's being proposed. In A and C, it's going to be a single lot.
Okay.
So if you can picture a condominium association or a homeowners association with those homes on a single lot, that's
Yep.
that's what the intent is.
Okay, so I guess where was the decision on, how did it come about to decide how many can go on each parcel? I do feel like, at least for parcel B, I think it ends up being 0.2 acres per lot for parcel B, the one that's single-family dwellings. And I'm assuming when you look at the plan, it does look comparable to the other ones. That's very small for what, the rest of the area is. So I guess
In terms of lot size?
yeah. So how did that, how was that determined? Obviously, I know a builder is gonna rather have that with, it's more money, but.
Well, I think in part, as someone who was there and part of that subcommittee, we were looking at overall density for the aggregate property and what would be an appropriate density level. And so certainly some of the parcels here, parcel A, B, C, D,
Yeah.
are denser than others, and we wanted to also provide for and accommodate some open space in this overall concept as well. So I'm not saying that was specifically, but we were looking at a density target that would be appropriate, but it had to be part of the whole aggregate parcels, the whole property.
Okay. But I guess, because I think, one of the meetings or workshops we attended, they had said that it was comparable to what's already in the area. And I live right around the corner. I ran all the stats. The smallest lot in our area is 0.23. And that's not the average. The average is like 0.4 for the lots in that area. So I feel like you're trying, that's a very dense, I mean, we have to take into consider, I mean, everyone was just dealing with traffic from the soccer game today, and they're all going right through there. Bringing that many homes to that small of an area, it's just very compact. And it's not, I mean, the rest of the homes around there, it's, I mean, average, and I did like an average on Pond Ave, an average on Fox Hill, an average on Chestnut Street, Neponset, Mechanic, just from where Neponset to Chestnut goes. And they're all around 0.4. I think the smallest was Bradner, which is right behind, which I think that would technically be a budding, I believe it's parcel B, but, and that was 0.34. So they're not small lots in that area, and average size homes too are about like 1,600 square feet. So
when you say 0.4 or 0.34 or whatever.
Acres.
Acres.
Point,
That's what I
0.4
thought.
acre, I
Yeah,
apologize.
that's what I
Yeah,
thought you meant. Okay.
yeah. So, I mean, like, when you're looking at the map that you guys did put together, you're like, oh yeah, those lots they look similar, but when you actually run the numbers, they're not. I mean, it's almost double of what one lot size would be.
From that parcel.
Yeah,
That's a point well taken.
yeah. And I do feel like, I mean, our homes are pretty close to each other already. So when you take that into, I mean, it's going to be tight.
I think part of the thinking for the neighborhood and keeping kind of in line with what you're saying is what we wanted to try to avoid was situations that may not be in your neighborhood but have popped up in other neighborhoods where the lot is a given size, but because there's no zoning to restrict the size of the home, that somebody could say, okay, I could put a duplex there as an example. Then later on, somebody buys a duplex, tears it down, and puts a much bigger home on the lot. So by keeping the lot size to a certain restricted size and increasing the number of homes potentially on the lot, it would reduce that behavior.
But wouldn't that fall under like setbacks for, like, I mean, say I have, you know, my certain street frontage, technically I wouldn't be able to add this because of the setbacks in your street frontage, correct? So like even if you doubled the lot sizes, you would still have to follow the town's building laws.
You would, but, you know, I'm just pointing out something that it's already an existing condition in the town, where that's happened.
Okay.
You know, somebody builds duplexes, that's the most,
So that would prevent a duplex from going in with that size lot?
it would prevent that, well, it would prevent that, but also it would prevent the opportunity for someone to say, I can tear down that duplex and now put a much bigger home within the same envelope. So now all of a sudden you have a neighborhood that's like your neighborhood as an example, where homes are relatively close, they're 1,000 feet to 1,600 feet, something under 2,000 feet, let's say, and somebody came in and decided that they were going to build, you know, tear down this structure and build something 2 times the size. And then you have a small home, and right next to you is this house that's overshadowing your house, blocking your sunlight, whatever. You know what I'm
We have a
saying?
duplex right next to our house.
But
I
it's
mean,
not the duplex that's the issue. It's what can happen in a neighborhood that might allow the duplex. So
Okay.
it's,
And the override district does not allow duplexes.
Okay, so no duplexes.
Correct.
So and then realistically, the only condo-like, even though they're single-family dwellings, would be A and C.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, unless there were condos in the large building, the existing building.
And then,
But as far as single-family homes that would be condo-like, it would be an A and C.
okay, and are we like taking into consideration the amount of population, like just in that area when we add this? I mean,
you mean what the expected population would be?
Yeah.
Okay.
and like how that's gonna, I mean, the center, we're right off the center, right? It's already busy enough. You can't even get parking anywhere when you're, like, this is just gonna increase. Just today, we had to call, our neighbors down the street had to call Foxborough Police Department because we have people cutting through, flying down the street. When we now you're gonna add neighborhood here, they're gonna be dealing with the same stuff, and then we're also dealing with Gillette Stadium traffic. On top of all of the traffic for, I think, what's the total, 180 about units total?
At maximum, if a developer were to do this, there would be 81 single-family homes. That would be the maximum
81.
permitted.
And then 92.
At maximum, 92 multifamily units.
So 170,
Correct.
yeah,
But
so,
again, those are multifamily units within a building at maximum.
right, times two. Say average, there's 2 to 3 people per house or unit, and that's minimum. I mean, that's almost 600 people, not counting children.
Well, I would make a couple of observations.
Yeah.
And one is that, as Mr. Overett said in his preamble or explanation, this is not a housing plan. This is just a framework, a zoning framework that would allow certain things if certain conditions are met to our satisfaction, and also if certain other conditions in the real world are also met. Site conditions being among them, financing being among them, and so this is a framework, and
But this
I
is
just
the
wanna make
max
sure
amount that could potentially go in.
Absolutely.
That's
True.
what
Yeah.
I'm,
absolutely.
I know there's buyers probably in the works.
Right.
No one's set, but technically a builder, you're setting the groundwork for whatever builder comes through or whatever
We are,
developer.
that's exactly
And-
what this framework
Yes.
is, yes, as opposed to a commercial framework, or as opposed to an industrial framework, which we already are dealing with at the present time,
So I
with the
guess-
current zoning.
Like, was there a reason obviously, it's better to have residential there, right, instead of commercial or, I
We
mean,
kind of thought that.
that's, and I'm not ignorant, I know someone's gonna build here, right? But I guess, was there a reason why it just seems like a lot of, units, like, there was no thought in maybe like reducing it a percentage, or?
I think that committee went through several iterations of discussions on different target levels on different parcels, as well as the overall target level. And part of it, honestly, was after doing some research about what types of residential projects would be tenable. We don't want to do anything that is not going to be tenable. We want to try and move this forward. And just to put that in context, I think it's helpful for everyone to understand that in 2025, that aggregate property was valued at about $14 million. And right now, a year later or 18 months later, it's valued at a little over $4 million. So that's an issue for the town as well, in lost tax revenues. So, I mean, these are all things that were kind of talked about and taken into consideration. And I perfectly understand your point about density. I mean, density was discussed ad nauseum within that committee.
And I in bigger picture, I mean, our schools already are capped. I have a son in the schools. I mean, the resources are so low, and like, I know that ideally this is supposed to be, people trying to downsize, but at the end of the day, you can't restrict who's going to buy it unless it's 55 plus, right?
And I don't think we'd want to go down that route anyway.
Huh?
I don't think we'd want to go down that road anyway.
Right. So, like, can the schools, I know not everyone's going to have children, but essentially, I mean, this is a huge amount of homes going in
is.
where that's going to bring in, I mean, you could have a 30% of those units be children, and it could be 2, 3. I mean,
And honestly, I don't mean to be contentious or
Yeah.
even to play devil's
No.
advocate, but if you look at the last 10, 15, 20 years in Foxborough and the total number of housing units, both in terms of rental, condominium, and single-family that have been added, the school population and enrollment has steadily gone down. Now, I'm not saying that's
But
going to
this is
continue to be the
one
case.
area. That's the only, that's
So,
why I'm focused. It's
There might be
one
redistricting
area.
involved
Right.
at the elementary level.
So, but it is one specific area versus, it's not like it's dispersed where it's 180 homes all over the town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I understand your concerns.
Bonnie, could you speak to the, and this is really kind of going out on a limb, the probable size of a dwelling that could go onto these parcels? Because
2,000.
from what I understand, the lot sizes are so small with your setbacks, then you're going to be restricting the buildable size of a property.
Yeah, I think that the best that I can come up with, the property off a community way that Joe Lynch developed, it was part of a comprehensive permit. I think those homes are actually a little bit larger than 2,000 square feet in gross area. But I think that, to my mind, that would be the closest that I can think of.
Okay.
And it's also a dense area
Right.
there.
It is.
But that to my mind, would be
Because I was
size-wise.
envisioning less than 2,000, but,
I can't think of any offhand.
okay.
So the lots right across from Stop and Shop, I can't think of the name, I think O'Reilly Lane, those are about about a tenth of an acre. And those are, so you're essentially doubling that. And those are about, I think, 2,000 square feet.
I guess I can never escape that development. Been one of the three individuals who approved, that was also a comprehensive permit. So the circumstances were different
Right.
there.
We had no control on that one.
Okay, okay. That's all I have.
My wife brought that up tonight at dinner as well, so.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Questions, comments? Don't be shy. We're here to hear what you have to say.
I think we can, I'd make a motion to close the public hearing if we don't have any more questions.
I would agree.
Okay, I'll second that.
All those in favor of closing the public hearing?
Aye.
I'll entertain a motion to approve.
No, we're doing them at the end.
Oh, we're doing it, I apologize. You keep doing what, you gotta remind me, I'm not too swift tonight.
You were on vacation for too long, that's what happened.
That's what happened. We have one more public hearing, warrant article, Foxborough Master Plan. The planning board will consider the adoption of a 2025 revision to the town's master plan and submit it to town meeting for endorsement.
So this one's a little bit different from the rest. Obviously, I did not print out the entirety of the master plan for you tonight. Hopefully, you had a chance to look at the draft. I've linked it within the handout that I provided to you. I think that I'm going to edit this after some comments from the advisory committee yesterday to strengthen some of the language and to add a QR code so that residents can look through it while it's being discussed. A master plan is a tool to guide investment and strategy over the course of typically about a 10-year period. That's how it works in Foxborough. The last time we did one was 2015. A lot has changed since then. The updated community profile, population, demographics, economic data, both at the household level as well as businesses, fiscal information, et cetera. Updated goals and objectives that reflect the desires of Foxborough residents. A lot's changed within the population in the last 10 years. Overall, the process we held multiple in-person events, stakeholder interviews by topic, and also released a lot of surveys over the course of last summer and into the fall. And really, where we arrived there was an affirmation of the town's vision statement and what we refer to as the growth nodes framework. That concentrates new growth along already developed areas in town. So 140 and Central Street, the town common area, Chestnut Green area, and Route 1 by the stadium. Those are the 4 areas that really lead the new growth within Foxborough. That way, the areas that are less dense, more residential or agricultural can be protected. And residents seemed generally in favor of that approach of protecting the quieter residential areas and allowing development along areas that already see it. We also made updates to town infrastructure and capital projects and priorities. A lot of what was listed in the 2015 master plan was actually accomplished, more than I've seen in most communities. It was really impressive to go through. But we had to update because obviously you don't stand still with infrastructure and capital projects. There are new priorities and things that have emerged over time. So those were tweaked and adjusted. Overall, residents wanted a de-emphasis on housing production while recognizing a growing need for senior housing because of the aging population. So we're going to address the senior piece, but you'll see in the goals that we kind of revised those to balance the housing production with other factors that weighed heavily on the residents' minds. And an updated implementation section that takes into account some of the changing regulatory and financing landscapes. Obviously, since the plan was completed at the end of 2025, there's been even more volatility. So the master plan isn't always going to be 100% correct in its implementation strategies. Things change year over year. We will pivot, we will adapt. It is a living document, but hopefully we can still make progress on implementation. So I did provide a list of master plan goals by topic area. Transportation, the 3 goals are ensure local streets are safe and efficient for all modes of transportation, support sustainable land use and transportation connections, improve mobility, accessibility, and connectivity within town. 2 land use goals, support land uses which protect town resources and encourage economic sustainability, and provide better connections between residential and other land uses throughout the community. Under housing, there are 2 goals. Balance housing development with the need to protect community character, sensitive natural resources, and fiscal health, and support housing that meets the needs of all residents. Economic development. Foster a successful local economy with a sustainable mix of local, regional, and national businesses. Promote a vibrant, walkable uptown, and promote an active, sustainable Route 1 commercial corridor. Public infrastructure and services. Invest in public infrastructure and services that meet the needs of residents and ensure that public infrastructure is resilient and sustainable. We added goals to recreation, open space, and agriculture. This was an area of real interest and passion among the residents that we spoke with. So 4 goals: provide a variety of recreation opportunities for all town residents, protect and maintain 20% of total town land area as open space. We're very close to that right now. Build a coalition of open space and recreation advocates, support and preserve sustainable agricultural uses. Finally, 1 goal under natural and cultural resources, ensure that cultural and natural resources are well maintained and permanently protected. So, again, I will be changing some of the introductory language in that handout to be a little bit stronger as requested by the advisory committee, and I'm going to try to reformat it so I can fit a QR code on there. It's pretty tight right now, but there are some things I can do to tweak it so that I can have that code and residents can go through the plan and, hopefully they'll read it beforehand, but considering the length of the document, you never know.
Good. Any questions or comments?
Well, Catherine, I know that's a heavy lift for both of you, and I hope you're happy with it.
I think the goals and the strategies came out very well.
That sounds very good.
And AdCom did express its support for this particular warrant article. Actually, for the 3 we spoke with them about, but they did express the support for it.
So before we take the votes on these particular matters, I just want to remind everybody in the audience that the fact that we've had the hearing and the fact that we're going to take a vote on it, this process doesn't stop here tonight. All of these articles will come before town meeting, and it'll be the body that makes the decisions about whether what gets presented is in the best interest of the town, is acceptable to the residents, and whether we should proceed with them. So I encourage you all to be sure to show up at town meeting and vote your conscience about what you think about any and all of these, and make sure that the town hears your perspective before they take a final vote on any of them.
You have to close this public hearing.
I do. So I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're going to do all these at once?
So generally, we go through them and you make a, if you support sending it to town meeting or not, and the reason why. That used to be Tracy's job, so
I've got
you
really
guys
good-
get into
I've
it,
got
yeah.
really good reasons at hand. Okay, so let's start with the warrant article of zoning bylaws for definitions. I'll make a motion that we do approve this and send it forward to town meeting because it clearly clarifies things that are less than clear or needed to be reproduced in a way that's more understandable by both the public and the boards that need to work with.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, again, there was the amendment that I don't know if you need to vote on that separately, or?
I think we can roll that into the
Okay.
motion. So we would include the amendment.
Rest the amendment?
Yeah.
Rest the amendment.
Rest the amendment, as outlined by Mr. Overt.
Right. I made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Number 2, public hearing warrant article, Foxborough zoning bylaw, amend section 9.2, design review overlay district by replacing certain language in sections 9.21, et cetera, clarifying the definition of the district, and by deleting and replacing with new language on applicability at section 10.54. I'll make a motion to approve this because I think it's in the best interest of the town and the building commission and having some ability to enforce where right now there's been some question about the enforceability of certain matters. Is there a second?
I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Public hearing warrant article, Foxborough zoning bylaw, amend section 9.0 special district regulations by adding a new section 9.9 to establish the Neponset Avenue overlay district. Do I hear a motion?
I would make a motion that we make a recommendation favorably to town meeting on this article. I happen to believe in it, and I would state that it's important, I think, for everyone to remember that this is still a work in progress, and I expect that we will continue to refine this going forward. I think it's a good framework and a good starting point.
I would agree with that. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And finally, public hearing warrant article, Foxborough Master Plan. Planning Board will consider the adoption of the 2025 revision to the town's master plan and submit to town meeting for endorsement. I'll make a motion that we do forward it to town meeting because it's been an ongoing living document and we need to get it approved by the town meeting in order to move forward with it.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And just to touch on what Mr. Weinfeld said before we took the vote on these articles, this is merely to move the article to town meeting. So it's addressed and addressed in front of the populace that's there and allowed to go to a vote. And what we voted tonight has nothing to do with these passing whatsoever. It's strictly controlled by town meeting. And that's where the people have the opportunity to truly have their say in what happens.
So, as I mentioned earlier, if you're in favor, great. If you're opposed, great. Show up and, speak your piece at the microphone. Let people know what your concerns are or what your approval is and why you think it should or should not be voted on by the body. Appreciate you coming in tonight and spending time. Anything further?
Did you have any subdivision stuff?
You have a decision that has to be signed, Kevin?
Just one?
Yeah.
That's all we got. Okay. I think we can adjourn.
I'd make that in the form of a motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Thanks, Barn.
Very comprehensive.
We're still alive.
Thank you, Mr. Pressley, for moving that along.
Is that just you?
Thank you for saving some later embarrassment to me.
So how was the trip?
Which one?
All of them.